What's going on, guys? Fun with Knives back again, and today we're looking at one badass budget cold steel knife, and that knife is the GI Tanto or Tanto, whichever you prefer. Now, I have had one of these knives in the past, but of course I severely abused it and ruined it. The way I did that is I took it out of a knife roll and putting it into a throwing knife roll where it was bent, rusted, and left outside for months on end because I totally forgot about it. So the good thing about this knife is that it is insanely affordable, so I just bought another one. And I intend to do modifications on it to put it into the role I want, which is a bug out bag knife. Now, I hope this video will serve as initial impressions and kind of a first look at it before I start delving in with the Dremel and different things I want to do to it. So this is a box that it comes with. Very plain, it looks a little bit Mall Ninja. So does everything Cold Steel makes. But this is one quality knife, there's no doubt about that. And it comes with an awesome sheath too, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But here come the boring specs here. This knife is a foot long, 7-inch blade, 5-inch handle. So there's that big monstrous Tanto blade and that nice, just super simple 5-inch handle. Foot long. Blade thickness on this guy, or blade stock, is 0.16 inches. So not overly thick. I was surprised. I could have seen this thing going for 0.2, I don't even know, 1/4 of an inch, but this knife is tough as hell, and I can attest to that. And if you guys don't believe me, definitely go look up some videos on it, because there is some crazy things that have been done with this knife. I'm talking punching through car doors, people are pounding it into trees, standing on it, throwing it. I mean, this thing is kind of the jack of all trades at $23.99. At least that's what I paid for it. The steel on this guy is 1055. You guys haven't heard of that? It's because it's kind of a crappy steel. It's a lower level carbon steel and it rusts readily. That is why it has a coating on it. Prevent that rust from happening a little bit quicker. It is insanely easy to resharpen. I think Gideon Sactical said you could sharpen it on a rock, and I definitely believe that because I have sharpened it, and I mean, it's fairly soft. So why in the world would I pick such a budget offering with not a very good steel to be a bug out bag knife? Well, that all comes down to your philosophy on what a bug out bag is. Now, I'm not saying mine's perfect, but to me, bug out bag kit, or whatever you want to call it, it's a 72-hour bag that has 3 days worth of supply, so you can get somewhere safe if you needed to bug out in the event of whatever, you name it, natural disaster, economic collapse, whatever it is. And with only 3 days of water, 3 days of food, you know, clothes, matches, all the things, first aid kit that are in your bug out bag, I think this is a great addition. Another reason being, if I put one of my nicest knives, let's say my Tops Dawn Warrior, on my bug out bag, I would miss it because I love using that knife. Now with this knife costing so little, I can put it on there and I won't miss it because I can always buy another one. So that's kind of my philosophy on this, and it's tough as hell. It'll complete any task I want it to, from, you know, prying open a door to, you know, getting into a can of food, processing some wood, batoning, anything I'm going to ask this knife to do, it will accomplish. Now, it's not the best grind on it. It has a shallow saber grind, so it's not going to be the best slicer. But all in all, I think this knife is going to be a good jack of all trades and a great option if you're on a budget especially. So, you do have a polypropylene handle here, just some hard plastic scales, very simple handle shape, 2 bolts on it. So let's talk about what this knife is good for outside of a bug out bag, because I truly think it's going to be a good knife for that, especially after I make the modifications I plan on doing. This is a good throwing knife. If you guys have seen it, there's a Knife Center video talking about how this knife is actually balanced fairly well for throwing, and I can attest to that. I threw it out. We have a makeshift knife target, and this thing is awesome to throw around. It's got a lot of weight behind it, and that Tanto tip really wants to stick into the target. It's a throwing knife, bug out bag knife. You can definitely use this in a sort of hiking or backpacking sort of capacity, even though I don't think it's the best option out there. I don't think it's a bad one. Now, the modifications I want to make are probably like some of the ones you've seen if you've looked into this knife. If you guys don't know, I'm usually not a fan of top handguards because it locks you into one position. Now, with this being such a neutral handle, I want to be able to move my thumb and my grip where I want it. Now, on a standard hammer grip, this knife fits just fine. How about in a reverse grip? If I can flip this around without taking you guys out, yeah, it's great. But as soon as you want to choke up on it, use that forward finger choil. This handguard is just in the way. So I'm going to cut it off. Imagine that being gone, and maybe I'll add some jimping in there, maybe a full row of jimping too, that I can kind of place my thumb where I want to do the tasks that I need. I don't think I'm going to strip the coating because I know how rust prone 1055 is, so I'll leave that. I might add a little bit more traction onto this polypropylene handle. There is a little bit to it. I don't know if you guys can see that, but not a lot. So I think I want to do that. And I do remember my first GI Tanto had some handle scale mounting issues where I guess after throwing it hundreds of times and hitting pavement, these kind of shook loose. In fact, I have them somewhere over there. There's the scales I actually kind of ripped off. But I think I'm going to take these off and adhere them on and then screw them down pretty hard with some Loctite so these handle scales will never move. And I might sharpen this top swedge or add serrations to it or do something to it because with 1055 not holding an edge very well and this being a knife that you will, I don't know, trust your life to if you had to use your bug out bag, I guess, this thing is about at an edge already, so I think I could add an edge to that, get a little bit more cutting edge to use if I did have to process some wood or do whatever, and I might even increase its penetrating ability, even though this thing is a beast at penetrating with that aggressive Tanto. So maybe I'll round out the finger choil too. I haven't quite decided. So I'm going to get on that probably this weekend, do some modifications to it. But honestly, guys, this knife is kind of good to go as it is. And the reason I say that is the sheath. I'll give you a close up to it. I've been talking so much, I haven't shown you the knife. There's a coating on it. It does come incredibly sharp. GI Tanto written there. Here's your scales. Fit pretty decent on the knife, but not superbly well. And then cold steel china on that side. So there's the blade. Here is this phenomenal sheath. I almost can't believe the sheath comes with this knife. It's a Secure X sheath. It's just some sort of hardened plastic here with tons of grommet holes, tons of eyelets and slits for you to lash this onto MOLLE, your belt, your backpack, whatever you want to mount this to, it'll work. Now, this does come with a snap for retention along the handle. Actually fits pretty snug. But you don't even need that snap because this thing is superbly tight fit. Let me snap this. You guys can't hear the rattle. That is completely absent here. No rattle whatsoever. On a $23 knife, it just blows me away. Now the mounting to your belt is also awesome. You have Velcro with a button snap. You can take that off without taking your entire belt off. And it kind of serves as a drop leg sheath where this is not going to be riding up on top of your hip. It's going to be rather hanging down a couple of inches. It's going to be very easy to access as well. And I do believe that those handguards are the retention point on the sheath. So it's going to be interesting what's going to happen when I cut that top one off. But the sheath is just phenomenal. There's no way around that. So for the whole package you're getting here for the low $20 range, I say get one now. In fact, I'm thinking about buying 3 more. I could put them in all sorts of different capacities. One in my car, one in a range bag, whatever it might be. This is kind of, again, the jack of all trades that you don't mind breaking, even though I, highly doubt that you would. So, as always, guys, thanks for watching. I'm excited to start on those modifications. Hopefully, I don't ruin it. But again, I can always buy a new one. But I think it'll turn out a lot better than it came from the factory. So, thanks for watching, and remember, have fun with your knives.